On this episode of Internet Business Mastery, we talk to our old friend Pat Flynn about how to choose a profitable niche for your online business. And in the quick tip, we share a free quality tool for video conference calls. Hey everyone, I'm Sterling.
And I'm Jay. And we're here as usual on a mission to help you find more freedom and fulfillment by starting your own internet business. If you'd like to get started right away, you can go to freevideogift.com and check out the free video that we've got there that helps teach you the right way to start your very own online business. So Sterling, did I already mention on the show I'm making another documentary? I can't remember if I mentioned that or not.
I think you have.
I have,
but,
okay.
So you're actually starting it now, right?
Yeah, I'm diving in, and the reason I bring that up is there was an interesting kind of lesson that hit me. It's kind of funny the parallels I keep finding through this filmmaking process and starting a business. But one thing that people, when they're starting a new business and they're creating content that they're always worried about is, how am I going to stand out from all the competition? And like the very first. Well, and so that I found that very similar to actually the worries I was having about my documentary that I'm making, which is going to kind of delve into kind of some personal experiences and how that relates to kind of the broader human experience. And, it's kind of an abstract topic, but I want people to really still be able to connect with it and find it compelling and to have it still come across as kind of having its own unique voice. And so I was kind of thinking about, well, how's this going to have a unique voice, and talking about that in the class with the group, because I'm taking a documentary class again, kind of a second level class where we all, it's more or less a mastermind group for documentary filmmakers to come and talk about their projects. The funny thing is like, so I was struggling with this question, and really the answer ended up being the exact same thing I would tell somebody starting out their new business who are like, how am I going to stand out? Why should anybody listen to me? How here's, like, for instance, we had a coaching student who asked this, like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about my niche, but I just found this other blog and, oh my gosh, they're doing exactly what I want to be doing. Like, does that mean that I'm just going to be a wannabe now? And what I told them is like, no, don't go and just copy exactly what they're doing. Certainly look at their site, see what they might be doing right, and adapt some of that stuff. But in the end, just be yourself, be authentic, share your view on life and your view on this niche. The niche is wedding photography. Share your own way of going about this process. And so some people are going to like his personality better. Some people are going to like your personality better. Some people are going to like his philosophy and approach to business better. Some people are going to like yours better. Some people are going to think that he explains things in the right way. And some people like the way you explain things better. And there's, lots of people in this world and plenty of, market share to go around. And really in the end, the cool thing about the style of marketing, this content media, personality-based marketing that we teach is that it's about getting to people to connect with you and know you and get to like you and trust what you have to offer. And then at that point, it doesn't really matter what other people are doing because they like you and they connect with the way that you go about doing it.
I wanted to actually add to that, and there's a lot of people that will consider it an and, not an or. They
That's
want
true.
both of you.
They want both, right?
You happen to be teaching, you're a little bit maybe more targeted on this, or, you know what I mean? You won't be teaching the exact same things at the exact same time. So it's not an or, it's an and for a lot of people as well, especially people that are just consuming all the information they can on the subject.
Right. Absolutely. So I think that's a good point to remember for creating content for starting a business is, if you just allow your own personality to come out, be authentic to yourself, don't try to be somebody else, just, people will connect with who you are. And there are a lot of people out there who have similar ways of viewing the world and values and ideas. And, when they're going to recognize that in you, and that's going to be very magnetic to them. And that's a powerful part of the style of business that we teach.
Well, and what I realized from your documentary is you just have a lot of time on your hands, don't you? We talked about before how the documentary filmmaking is a time suck, and so clearly you've got a lot of time open.
Yeah, you keep warning me about that, and I guess I just haven't listened. I don't know why.
As if having a child in a big business isn't enough.
Maybe Maybe I'm just a masochist.
And a wife.
I don't know.
There you go.
And now, the features segment.
All right, so on the line with us, we've got somebody who is no stranger to internet business mastery, Pat Flynn. How you doing there, Pat?
Good. How are you guys?
Great.
Good. Always fun to catch up with Pat Flynn, seeing what he's up to. Nice.
Back to my roots.
Pat's been right. Pat's been giving me some good baby advice because I hit him up a little while ago because, as I've mentioned on the show, we were having our first kid in February, and I was trying to think, well, who do I know that's like in the same position as me, like with first time dad, doing the solopreneur at home thing, balancing family life with business. And Pat came to mind, so he was kind enough to chat with me on Skype and give me some good insights. So thanks for that, Pat.
Oh, you're welcome. Always happy to talk about kids, and it's definitely a life-changing thing, but it's all for the better, and I'm very happy for you. Congratulations to you and Melanie once again. And if you or anybody else out there needs some advice as far as solopreneur dad type of stuff, let me know.
Well, you definitely seem to handle it really well. And
Thank
so
you.
It's awesome.
It wasn't easy, and I'm still learning. Maybe I should create a niche site for it.
I was just thinking. Hope you guys recorded that.
That's right. Well, speaking of niches, that's what we wanted to talk to you right now, because we know you're in the process of creating for the future a niche site course, and it's also something you've had some success with, and talked about on your blog, and the niche site duel. If people aren't familiar with that, Pat's own blog, Smart Passive Income, where he's always talking about the different passive income ventures that he's trying online. And I thought it was very cool when, a while back, I guess it's been, I don't know, several months, a year or so.
About a year since I started it, yeah.
Right. Okay. Where you set up from scratch a brand new, very niche site to see what you could do with that. And it's been fascinating to kind of watch that journey as you've put that all together. So as people know, in Internet Business Mastery, we really teach this methodology of, pick something, your passion that you can just really dive into for years to come, build this very empire-based business, expert-based, personality-based. But the other side of that internet business, internet marketing coin is you could also go with this more of a publisher model of just picking, several different niches. Sterling's done some things in the past with like sugar gliders, which is a little pet, or survivalist stuff. And, Pat's got his security guard training site that he's put up. And I guess you do put a bit of your personality into that site as well, which is cool. But I thought it would be interesting, since you have dabbled a lot with that in the last year. Niche is a huge step in this process, and it's probably one of the things that hangs people up the most, that initial decision of what's my business, my site gonna be about. And anything we can do to help new entrepreneurs feel confident in their selection of a topic or a niche just helps us help them move forward that much easier and find success that much quicker. So we wanted to pick your brain a little bit about that whole niche selection process today, if we could, Pat.
Sure, of course. I'd be happy to.
Awesome. So I guess, a place to start would be so just when it comes to choosing like the initial phase or the initial process, we have, in our academy, a certain process. We have a worksheet we have people walk through to think about different ideas they might have, and, thinking about different strengths and talents and questions people ask them on a regular basis. And we have them go talk to some trusted family and family members and friends to come up with ideas. Mm-hmm. What are some of the little tips or tricks or things you do if you're thinking about starting a new niche site? And I guess it's kind of a chicken or eggs thing. Is it like, this idea pops up while you're going down the road and you're like, I think I'll go home and look into that niche? Or do you like actually sit down and go, okay, I need to find a niche today, and so then you start looking at possibilities? So how does that process work for you usually?
Well, it actually does kind of work like that, where you just come up with an idea, write it down, and then do some research as far as that niche is concerned. And it's really all numbers based, and it's kind of a very scientific process. And that's the nice thing about it. You can do some research on a topic that you are interested in, or one that just pops into your brain randomly when you're driving, do some keyword research on it, and then actually find a keyword related to that topic that you know that you can build a niche site for and will succeed. That's the nice thing about it. It's all numbers based. It's all based on the number of people searching for that term in Google and the competition on the existing competition for that existing keyword to rank a site in Google. And basically the whole idea behind a niche site is to rank as high as possible, preferably on the first page of Google and preferably at the number one spot for a particular keyword that people are searching for. Then they would find you organically or for free. You don't have to pay for any traffic because you'd be at that number one spot. They come to your website and they either, click on an advertisement and you make money through that way, like through Google AdSense or private advertising, or you sell them a product or you have affiliate links for related products and things like that. So really it can start anywhere. What you have to do, what I usually tell people to do is just write down 50 or even 100 different topics that interest you. And that might seem like a lot, but I usually start with, I got this tip from Glenn Alsop from viperchill.com. He says, first think about your passions, your problems, and your fears, because chances are, if you find something in there with your passions, problems, or fears, it's going to be something that other people are interested in and something that potentially other people are searching for in Google as well. And I know I keep talking about Google, and really it's all search engines, but Google is the kind of mother of all search engines, as we know, and that's where we want to be. We want to be at the number one spot in Google. So I came up with this thing called, and this is all stuff I talk about on my blog as well. So I call it PATS 777, and it's just an arbitrary number, but I like those numbers because it's kind of Vegas-y and lucky and stuff. So I come up with a list of 7 passions, 7 problems, and 7 fears. I just write those down. So immediately you already have 21 things that you can do research on. And those are things that are passionate or things that involve you in your life. So if you were to start a niche site somehow related to those 21 things, it would be something that you would potentially be more likely to be interested in, as opposed to just, picking some, random word in the dictionary or, creating a site about cold sores or something like that.
Right.
So that's where I would start, and I would even go to different websites. There's a bunch of different websites out there where you can get inspiration as far as topics. These aren't keywords that you're going to be targeting, but topics that we're going to do research on to see if there's keywords related to that topic that we could rank for. Some people call them seed keywords because this is kind of the start, and then we're going to do some research on these topics. So some of those websites you can go to. I mean, you can go to any website and find anything that you might be interested in, but there's a few ones that I just want to mention, like ehow.com. If you go there, there's a bunch of different people writing about all different types of things. You can just go in there and see what interests you. There's usually a list of all these different topics you could choose from. You can go in there and it kind of narrows things down for you, and you could really talk about anything. There's just so many things. ezinearticles.com is a great place to just get inspiration for ideas. Just keeping an open mind, and even just like you said, just when you're going down the street or walking or driving or whatever, just anything that pops into your head, write it down, because that could potentially be a seed keyword for some great niche site that you could eventually develop and make money from. And that's kind of how I came up with the security guard training niche. My mom is a security guard, and she was looking into police training, actually. And so police training was the topic that I chose. But doing research on that topic, which I'll show you or talk about in a second, it eventually led me to the keyword security guard training, because the numbers made sense. It met the criteria that we're going for, which, again, I'll get into. But it's all, again, based on numbers, and just, it starts with those list of topics that we can then do research on and analyze.
And I like the idea of being prepared to capture ideas when they come to you, and just kind of, if you have that mindset continually. I mean, as an example, Melanie and I just moved into a new place because we needed more space because we're having a kid. And just the whole process of pregnancy has obviously brought up all kinds of things. So if, just thinking through that, it's like, wow, all kinds of niches that come up there about parenting or birth and natural types of birth. Or as we've moved into this new place, we went from living in a modern high rise to now I just looked it up today. The home that we're living in, that we're renting from someone, was built in 1906. And, we love it because it's got all this great older character and it's just in a very cool neighborhood.
That's cool.
But coming and living in a new or in an older house like that comes with its own, new set of potential challenges. You've got, okay, an older house is more susceptible potentially to mold problems or, with being in a big house with a big yard. Okay, maybe now, a 15th floor of a high rise, we don't deal with like house mice that might come into your house. Now we're like, oh, I wonder, like with this big yard out here, maybe. And so all these things when you move into an old house, how do you take care of old house smells and health issues or remodeling it or, asbestos or lead paint or what are all those considerations, whether you're renting or whether you're buying, so just, thinking of, if you just get into that mindset and for the weeks or months to come, just think about all the little problems you run into, guaranteed you're going to come up with that 777 list pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would always be prepared, like you said. So, I have my iPhone with an app called Evernote that is just always ready for me to just type notes in whenever something pops into my head. And everybody has their own different way of doing that. I mean, some people keep an actual tiny little notepad in their pocket, but you never know, that one idea that just pops into your head for a second might be that great golden idea, and you don't want that to go away.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned. I even had my kids telling me things that they're interested in and different pets they're interested in and different toys that they like and just a bunch of different things like that. And I started, a pet site, and I'm number 5 on Google right now for my keyword, just following this exact, some of the stuff that you've said and, some little SEO tricks and stuff like that to get it. Obviously it's been about a month and I've got to number 5. So I'm hoping, in a month or two,
awesome.
I can get to number 1 following this idea. But it started because of that same thing. I just started writing down stuff I was interested in. And then my kids even, I just like, what do you guys like? And they started mentioning different pets. And I was like, I'll look at it. Let's see it.
That's cool. I'm not going to ask you what that is because I don't want you to do it. But,
yeah.
Of course, everyone's curious now. And no, it's not macrame, even though that's what everyone's thinking.
Although that's next on the list. We just decided in an episode we did a day or so ago that it's time to get something up.
It's about
for
time.
macrame.
It is about time. I think so. And if you get to number 1 for macrame, that's huge proof
Yeah,
right there,
exactly.
About what you guys are teaching. So
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned you get these ideas and you start doing some research about the viability, and it's kind of a supply and demand thing. Obviously, you want a niche that enough people are looking for keywords online to actually find you, versus going then for a niche where there's just so much competition. Like obviously, if your niche was like, oh, I'm going to do auto insurance, it's like, well, okay, yeah, a lot of people online looking for auto insurance, but a ton of sites very, very competitively competing for that kind of a broad keyword like that. So what are some tips when thinking about niches to kind of help people balance that whole idea of supply and demand and kind of find the sweet spot balance in between?
Really, there's just a process of a series of kind of tests you do for each of these topics that you list that kind of just tell you if it's good or not. So the first thing you do is just to see if there's enough traffic coming to different keywords related to that. So that actually the first thing is to find related keywords to that specific topic. So if your topic was, for example, dog training, because you really like to train dogs, you don't want to get into dog training, but there might be some keyword related to dog training that could be open. Although I know from experience that there isn't, just because dog training is so competitive. But what you do is and you could do this for free, and there are paid tools out there like Market Samurai that can help you do this too. But what you can do for free is you can go to the Google AdWords keyword tool. And what that tool does is you put in a topic, a word, or a phrase, and you click search. And what happens is it gives you up to 800 keyword ideas that are related to that topic that you just put in. So right there, you get to see actual search engine entries that people are typing in. And you also get to see how many global monthly searches and also local monthly searches. So in other words, how many times people are typing that keyword in there. So then you can filter it down. You can filter it so that you can get rid of the ones that some people are only typing in 100 times. And basically, I mean, a good number to go for as far as an exact match type phrase is maybe around 5,000 searches per month. That would be my minimum, I would say. 5,000 searches per month. Because really, if you're at number one in Google for a particular keyword, 5,000 people searching for that, you're not going to get 5,000 people coming to your site because not everyone clicks on that number one result. It's said that on average about 42% click on that number one result. So if you do the math, that's about 2,000 people coming to your site a month, which would be the minimum based on that 5,000 minimum as far as global monthly searches. So you do that, you do some filters, and then you kind of just end up with ones that have enough traffic to move on to the next test. So once you might start with a pool of 800 keywords from a particular phrase, and then you do those filters. You just take out the ones that don't mean anything, and you can also get rid of the ones that are kind of obvious, like dog or dog training or just the really obvious ones. And the ones you're left over, you do a competition test with. So this is a whole totally different test. We've done phase one. We know these keywords are good as far as traffic and search. The next thing to do is see how many searches or how competitive those keywords are. And the competition is all about the top 10 spots in Google. How possible is it to get ranked on the first page of Google? And the reason that's important is because that's where all the traffic is. How many times have you searched for something and you go to the second, third, or fourth page and click on a result? Not very often. I think it's about 90 to 95% of the clicks for a particular keyword when searched for are on that first page. So that's the goal. So in order to analyze the competition, we have to analyze the top 10 results that are existing in Google for that particular keyword. So there's a few things you could do with that. You can actually just type in your keyword in Google and see what comes up, and then look at each of the pages that show up as a result. And as far as competition is concerned, you want to look at a few factors. One thing is how often is that keyword mentioned in the title, in the description, and is that keyword also in the URL of any of those sites in the top 10? Another thing to look at, and I know I'm breezing over this. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than I'm sharing with you, but this is the basics of how it works. So that would be called on-page SEO or search engine optimization, because those sites are, if they do have those keywords in the title, the description, and the URL, that means that they're targeting that particular keyword. So it's going to be a little bit tougher to beat those. But that's just one component. You can also look at the page rank of the site, the Google toolbar page rank, which is a number that Google gives a site that's kind of just how authoritative that site is. From 0 having no authority to 10. And I think Google and Facebook are PR 9s. Just as an example, YouTube is a PR9. Yep. So the higher the page rank the site is, the harder it's going to be to overtake that site. And typically, I mean, different people have different numbers, but the average page rank for the top 10 results, as far as my sweet spot, is 2.2. So if I add up all the page ranks on the front page, 0 plus 1 plus 3 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1, they're going to vary. If that divided by 10 equals or is less than 2.2, then that gives me an okay to keep going and running these further tests. If not, it's too competitive, and I just dump that keyword and move on, because it's going to be really difficult to get on the first page of Google. It would be really terrible to spend all this time building a website for a niche that it would just be impossible to compete with. And then it's going to take a lot of work to find those open areas or those keywords that do have opportunity. But it's all about digging deeper and just trying and trying and trying more.
As you've been talking, I've been actually doing the stuff you're saying with macrame, just for fun. Okay, so nice. Macrame has 49,500 exact searches, but that's the good. Average really page rank is 3.1.
3.1. That's not too bad, but that's a little high. So it's gonna Okay, you can seriously rank for any keyword that you want to. You could rank for dog if you wanted to, but it's going to take longer, and it's going to take a lot more work and a lot more resources and probably a lot more money the more competitive it is. So the idea behind these niche sites is to just get in on one that you'd be able to rank in the top 10 for fairly quickly, to make some money and then move on to the next one. Or if it is something that you're very passionate about, like macrame, I know you guys are passionate about macrame. So then maybe you'd sacrifice the idea of getting on there fast in the top 10 for because it is something you're passionate about to just waiting a little bit longer and doing more work in order to do that.
Okay, then what if, just to throw a couple of things on this, so I checked the top 5 keywords for macrame. And so let's say the third one is macrame patterns. Now there's only 3,600 exact term or exact searches, but it's got a 2.2 APR, which is average page rank. But then the top 5, let's say the other 4 other than macrame itself are all under 2.2 in the average page rank, and altogether they add up to about 10,000. Would that still be something, like, would you suggest doing that? Is it on the border?
That would mean
you know what I mean? Like,
that it's on the border, but that would mean that I would, if it's on the border or if it's like what you said, I would just keep going as far as the rest of the tests.
Okay, great.
I would put that on the list to keep going. I wouldn't knock it out. Totally.
Yeah, because the best one, it looks like, is called How to Macrame, and at 2.2, and I guess that would be probably the one I still get macrame in there, and I guess I'd go to the next test. So, okay. I just wanted to kind of have something there, as an example.
Yeah, to keep going. And the thing is, you want to get into one that is viable. But sometimes what happens is if you do a really good job with that site, you'll actually start ranking for those more competitive terms. Like, for example, security guard training. I got to number 1 for security guard training in 73 days, which was awesome. But I've just recently, a year later now, I'm starting to rank. I think I'm number 2 for security guard, just security guard by itself. And that's bringing in a lot of traffic now, just because Google has noticed that my site's kind of more authoritative now. It has great content on it, which is really important. And it's starting to rank for a lot more searches for search terms. I actually, my security guard training site gets traffic from over 4,000 different keywords now, mostly long tail keywords. Most of them only get 1 or 2 hits per month, but that just shows you the more content you write and the higher value your site is as far as the end user and the people who are reading it, the more Google is going to love it and actually rank you for really long tail keywords that you didn't even target.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to mention that. And again, keeping in mind that even though we're doing all this for search engines and trying to rank as high as possible, the most important thing is, again, who will be reading that site and what do they see when they get there. But I guess we'll keep going. So after competition, well, we talked about on-page SEO as far as the existing sites in the top 10 in Google. We talked about page rank, and there's also backlinks pointing to those sites. Now, backlinks is basically just a link from one site to another site, and the more backlinks that site has, the harder it is going to be to compete with them. But what's more important than quantity is quality. So if they have a lot of authoritative sites pointing to those top 10 listings, then it's going to be even more difficult to rank. So it's not an easy thing to know, like, for sure. But you can, after practicing and doing this for a while, you get to start to get a feel, and you can actually use some tools. Like, there's a tool called backlinks-checker.net. That's a good one where you can just put in any website, one of your competitors, and see what backlinks or what other sites are pointing to that site and what the PR of those sites are, because that's how Google sees that's how they rank authorities through the page.
What was that again? Backlink?
Backlinks, plural, checker.net.
Now, what would you say if you're searching for this and you look in Google and you see the top spot is Wikipedia, the second and third or fourth or whatever, like I see this all the time,
Amazon,
or YouTube.
eBay. YouTube can be beat. Wikipedia is difficult to beat. Google loves Wikipedia. They have such a great website with great internal linking structure and also obviously content that people want and that people look at. But if Wikipedia is the top spot, that's fine, because a lot of people are used to seeing that now when they type in something and they immediately go to the second entry and click on that. And there are things you can do, like making your niche site all capital letters in the title, or having a really good description in order to draw attention away from that top spot if you're not at the top spot. Wikipedia, yeah, I mean, it's a red flag, but it's not a throwaway as far as that keyword is concerned. Things like Amazon and eBay, which will be there, especially if you're doing some product type keywords, those are beatable too. Again, it'll just take a little bit longer, but if you build a website that's high value and that will give the end user and reader exactly what they're searching for, and you have some good quality links coming to your site, you can surpass Amazon easy. I've done that several times. So this is a very long and interesting process, as you can see, but this is the type of thing that you can actually, once you get used to it, you can outsource, which is pretty cool because it's just based on rules and things like that. So, a lot of people I know outsource this entire process from keyword research all the way to building the website and writing articles, and they just manage a team that does this. They don't even do it themselves, and they have hundreds of niche sites that they have a whole empire, and it's pretty cool. But I don't have hundreds. I have about 8, but they're all doing really well. So after, are we good on competition?
Yep.
Now I'll move on to the next.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, after understanding that particular topic has a keyword that has lots of traffic or potential traffic and also passes the competition test, it looks like there's room in the top 10 in Google. Then we have to do commerciality tests. Like, is it even possible if we were to build a website to actually make money? So there's a few things you could do with that, because you don't want to build a website and eventually see that, unless it's a passion of yours and you just enjoy writing. But if you're in this to make a buck or two, the worst thing would be to build this site and then just not see anything come about as far as money. So you do have to do some tests or see what kinds of products there are out there to sell potentially as an affiliate, or maybe create on your own to sell to your readers. Maybe advertising. What you could do is actually just type in that keyword that you're working with that has passed those tests so far into Google and see if there are any Google ads that pop up. If there are Google ads that pop up on the top or on the sidebar, that's actually a good sign, because that means there are advertisers out there bidding for keywords like that or keywords related to it, which means that there's some type of market for your particular keyword. If you type in that keyword and there are no ads next to it, then that's a red flag. You might have to think twice or kind of dig deeper as far as thinking about what you could potentially sell to your audience once you start to build up that traffic from Google. Also, just looking to see what any competitors are doing to make money, to just get some ideas as far as what can happen. A lot of, I know you've talked about starving artists before, and doing some type of art thing where you're targeting artists. It might not be the best idea, for example, because they don't have money to spend. What about if a lot of great keywords that have high searches and low competition are keywords that start with the word free this and free that and free this. The thing is, you don't want to build a niche site about that necessarily, because when people come to your site, they're looking for something for free, so they might not want to pay for anything. So those are some types of things you have to think about. But if you do come across a keyword that has a kind of buy type of keyword, like buy keyword or keyword coupon or keyword review or keyword sale, something like that, then that's a good sign too, especially if there are a good amount of searches for that. So those are just some basic commerciality things you could do. And also the kind of last test I like to do is just, after going through that process, you start with a topic and go through all these filters. You might not end up with a topic that it's related, obviously, because you've come through all these tests, but it might end up being totally different than what you originally thought that topic was about. So the last thing to do is just kind of step back and say, okay, I got this keyword. It meets all the criteria. Is this something I really want to build a site for? Sometimes I've gotten that. I mean, I've done that with that cold sore example I talked about earlier. I found a keyword related to that met all the criteria, and then I was like, I don't want to build a website about cold sores. So I just was like, no, there has to be some sort of interest. I wouldn't say necessarily there has to be a passion, but at least some sort of interest, because there are going to be times when you start to build a niche site and results don't happen right away, or Google maybe puts you through what they call the Google dance, where they rank you really high one day, the next day you go back down and you go up again. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. Having that interest in your topic, like I was interested in security guard training. I don't have a passion for it, but I was interested in it. That's what kept me going and kept me to do more, got me to do more research and add more content to the site, which eventually led to me getting to number one. And right now that site's doing really well. It's making about $1,500 a month purely off of AdSense ads. And I'm currently working to add some sponsorships on the site as well, and a directory, and potentially some affiliate marketing too.
Wow. Good stuff.
So-
yeah,
well,
that's quite a process. But
I'm sitting there going, it's funny because of course I'm playing around with the AdSense stuff and you know, a couple of sites are at like, you know, $5 a day or something like that, but
That's still good, though.
1,500
That's
is
still
funny.
great. Yeah, and I mean, once you get to a point where you are seeing traffic and you can make money from ads, then it's about optimizing the ads that you have. So I've been doing a lot of testing with the AdSense ads, changing colors, changing placements, and that has actually almost doubled the income I've had from AdSense using some tips and tricks that I learned from people as far as what they should look like, where they should go, and things like that. So it's really cool. I mean, it's definitely not the normal, you know, IBM type of model as far as building an empire and a brand, but this is fun too, you know, and you can really get, you know, not everyone is going to be successful at this. Not everyone is going to actually be excited about this. But for some, this is what they do because they really enjoy it. And, you know, whatever's good for you, that's what you should be doing. And what's nice about niche sites is it's not that expensive to start. It's very low risk. And you can see results much faster than you can going the other way. You know, like I said, in 73 days, I got to number 1. That's hasn't always been the case with the niche sites that I've done, but you know, you can see yourself get indexed in Google. You could see yourself climbing in Google. You can see your first few cents from AdSense come in. Like all those little milestones really add up and help encourage you to just do more and keep going, which is nice, and because they do happen kind of fast.
Yeah, it's interesting that whole, I mean, really it is a spectrum. I mean, like you said at the beginning, this is kind of a very scientific approach to starting a site online. And then, so you've got like on the one hand, just a completely pragmatic approach to this deal. And then on the other end of the spectrum, kind of the little more passion-based, fulfillment, lifestyle-based, which of course, you know, we're very, very big on. But yeah, some people, the lifestyle question might be, or the issue might be, yeah, you know what? I do like the variety of one day I'm talking about security guards and the next day I'm talking about macrame and then the next day I can do something about photography. And, you know, so it could be a good fit for that kind of personality.
You could take pictures of security guards doing macrame and combine them all.
Doing macrame, who have cold sores.
I don't know about that one.
But yeah, so where you fall, because certainly, I mean, everybody knows where we fall, and that's why, you know, we're willing, you know, when you're going with this niche site approach and you want to go very scientific, as quick results as possible, and maybe you're going to be building like a portfolio of these things and cranking them out at a different kind of rate, then yeah, that, like, you know, the numbers of 2.2 and those kinds of thresholds are important. And then but then on the other hand, of course, we've got people who come to us and we're like, yeah, that's kind of a competitive niche, but if that's what you really want to do, you know, try honing on this specific audience, or let's see if there's some long tail keywords you can go after. And here's the thing is, if that's what you really want to do, then absolutely we encourage you to do that. It might take longer, but it is going to pay off. And in the long term, you know, 2, 3, 5 years from now, you're going to have this, you know, expert based positioning and all these kind of opportunities and this, you know, kind of fulfillment. But, you know, that's a decision somebody makes if that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
And it can be anywhere in between as well.
I was going to say, you know, with my site that most of your audience knows about, greenexamacademy.com, I didn't know a clue about search engine optimization. I didn't even know about how Google and keywords really worked. But I built that site. I crafted myself as the expert in that niche, and I just wrote a lot of great content. And I eventually just naturally, because of that, ranked really high in Google. So, you know, and even with Smart Passive Income blog, I rank number 1 in Google for passive income now. But when I started it, I didn't have any idea about where it was going or what I was doing as far as keywords were concerned. But because I've been writing about that and just providing so much value and establishing myself as the expert on that subject, Google is trying to become human and trying to give people the best resource possible. So if you can do that, even in a competitive niche, if you can become a better resource than another website, you will rank above them eventually. I
mean, back when you were starting Smart Passive Income, do you think that the phrase passive income would have passed your test?
No.
Right.
No. And
but look where you're at now.
It was based on your passion.
It's not a niche site, though.
Yeah.
It was based on my passion, and the one good trick I did, which I learned from you guys, was including the words passive income in the domain name, just because, like you said, when anyone links to you, they would use those words as the anchor text, which plays a major role in search engine optimization. So I have to thank you guys for that. So yeah, I mean, Smart Passive Income Blog is not a niche site. It does talk about a specific niche in the make money online industry, but it wasn't built scientifically like we just talked about.
Well, and
and it took long. Like it took a couple years to get to where it was producing the kind of results that you're seeing.
Yeah,
now.
and we want we want to say you're welcome, and we're still waiting for that 20% of all income check coming in. But we'll see when that
comes. Right. We didn't sign anything for that.
Are you sure it's not in the mail? Because that.
Now you see how Sterling makes his
That's
money.
how he makes his money. Yeah.
Retroactive intellectual property. Totally. Well, so one thing I'm wondering, because it says a scientific approach, is where do these numbers come from? A number like 2.2. I mean, that might sound arbitrary to somebody who's listening. Is that based on experience? Is that based on, well, this is something a lot of people have said works really well?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's just a number. That's again, 2.2 is the average page rank for the top 10 sites in Google. It was just a number that somebody threw out, and it seemed to work as far as building niche sites and ranking for them. I forget where I heard it, but that's the number I use. A PR3 site, for example, is pretty difficult to overtake in a short period of time, but a PR2 site is a lot easier. So, somewhere in between there. I don't know.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, a lot of good stuff for people to think about, and I think people could listen to that whole segment there 2 or 3 times, take some notes, because obviously, like you said, you were whipping through it, but there was some very detailed stuff in there as well. Mm-hmm. We are going to dive into it for our coaching students, do a video with Pat here as well, and do a little more kind of diving into a little more details in some of those tools and how he uses them, so our coaching students can look forward to seeing that as well, but still a lot of great info. So thank you very much, Pat, for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure.
And go ahead and let people know where they can find you online for our audience who's listening to this and liking what they hear.
I would love if you came to my Facebook page and just said, "What's up?" You can find me at patonfacebook.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks.
So we got a breakthrough that actually just came into our email box in the last couple days. This is from Darlene of mamasonbedrest.com. She's a past coaching student, and I really like her niche. We've actually used it a lot in content and on our show when we're talking about choosing a niche or a topic that either has an urgent pain or an irrational passion attached to it. And the example I like to use, is imagine that you are a pregnant mother, you're halfway through your term of pregnancy, and then the doctor says, you know what, there's some complications and you need to go home and just stay in bed for the next 4 months till you have this baby if you want to keep this baby. And that's an urgent pain. Like suddenly you're in a situation like, oh my gosh, no, I don't want to lose my baby, but what does that mean for my life? And 50 questions come to your mind of, how is my life going to run for the next 4 months if I have to stay in bed? What about my kids? What about exercise? What about nutrition? What about that and that? What are all the considerations? What is there that I don't know yet? So, what's somebody they're going to do? They're going to go online and they're going to search and they're going to find somebody like Darlene who's like, hey, guess what? I've been through bed rest before. I know what it's like, and I've got all these great insights and videos for you. Bam, that person's going to be like, oh, thank you. I found.
Oh, yeah.
That is a perfect example of entering this conversation that's already going on. So just kind of connecting the dots there for people who've kind of heard that example before. And anyway, she wrote in with an update recently, said, I have had some great successes that I would like to share with you. She said, first, I did a 3-minute promo video for a medical company that has netted me so far $5,000 in cash and travel. Still working with them. Each little blog, roundtable, and teleseminar nets me about $500, and I do virtually nothing but talk about what I do and my experience. And that's exactly what we love to hear, taking your experience and what you love and turning that into regular money. So very good. Congratulations on that.
And totally helping people with it.
Yeah, helping them. Can you imagine all the women that she's helping in this desperate situation? And second of all, she says, my blog and podcast on Mamas on Bed Rest and Beyond has situated me as an expert in a high-risk pregnancy. I am now working out the details to be a community liaison with researchers at Case Western University to work on a study on high-risk pregnancy and postpartum depression. Not only will I be paid, I will also be published. And this is an awesome example of, as you do put in this type of business that we teach into action, not only does it turn into an income stream, but it helps create opportunities for you that start coming out of the woodworking related to this thing you're very passionate about. So now all of a sudden she's got this opportunity to be published and participate in research that's going to, change the field that she's in. A university is asking her to be part of this research project. That's just amazing. And it's so cool to imagine a few years ago, she was just a coaching student with this idea and hoping to get her experience out there. And now fast forward, not only making money, but participating in significant things within her field. That's just really, really awesome to hear about. And it's big congratulations on that, Darlene. Thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when we got to teach at a university, and I never thought that would ever happen to me. That was never particularly a goal, but it's just funny how these weird things outside of what you're doing come to you if you're doing what you actually are passionate about and love.
Absolutely. And now that's something you've done. I wonder what else we can get you to do that you never thought you'd ever do before.
Oh, no, we'll see. And remember, there's a live question and answer call each month for coaching members where you can ask us anything about starting and running your internet business. Not a coaching member yet? No problem. Just visit internetbusinessmastery.com/coaching to get the latest information about our coaching program.
It's time for the Internet Business Quick Tip.
So, Sterling, have you played around much with this Google Plus thing?
Not really. I haven't too much. Have you?
Well, just a little bit. I mean, I've started a Google Plus page. I honestly haven't used the page itself or posted much to it, but there is one feature that has come up that's been very, very handy. The funny thing is I haven't used it for business yet. However, I can see very easily how it could be used for business. I've actually mostly used it for just chatting with my family. And that is, part of Google Plus is you can create what's called a Google Hangout. And it's just, it's got webcam and audio, and you can share, like one cool feature is, at one point we had a video of my wife and I going to find out the gender of the baby that we're having in February. And we wanted to watch that simultaneously with different family members and see their reactions, of course, and stuff. And Google Hangout lets you queue up a YouTube video and everybody's watching it at the same time. And you're seeing the webcams of everyone. And so I was just like, this is awesome. And you know what? The quality is really quite very good. So for any situation, whether it's just for chatting with family or clearly for a mastermind or for a coaching group that you're holding, this opportunity to have multiple people interacting, talking to each other with webcams and audio, video, the opportunity to share videos on YouTube or other things is really, really handy. So, instantly my mind started thinking about business applications for that. So I just wanted to point that out if anybody hasn't, dove into Google Plus, but specifically the Google Hangout. It really is kind of a cool feature and definitely a way to apply that to your business in whatever way.
If you'd like to get dozens of resources such as this one, you can find them in the Internet Business Mastery Academy, along with video tutorials showing you exactly how we use many of them. So to get your risk-free trial membership to the Academy, go to internetbusinessmasteryacademy.com.
You've been listening to the iconoclasts of the 9 to 5, Sterling and Jay. Sterling and Jay invite you to discover one of their most popular video programs ever, the Online Business Freedom Formula. Visit freevideogift.com right now to get instant access to this life-changing video series, pulled directly from the acclaimed Internet Business Mastery Academy membership community. Go now to freevideogift.com. Take control. Make more money. Start an internet business today.